Hi, my name's Holly. I'm a mixed media artist and printmaker from Hertfordshire in the UK. Today's video is part 2 of a series that I've done on botanical gel printing onto collaged papers. So we've already made the papers, so today we're going to be decorating the papers and I'll be showing you what you can do with them, and I'll be mounting them onto these pieces of wood. So if that's something that you're interested in, then please stick with me today and I'll show you how to do it. About a week ago, I filmed a video where I showed you how to collage papers and then gel print over the top of them. So today I'm going to show you what I then do with those gel prints that I've created. So let's get started. So these are the 4 papers that I created in the last tutorial that I did. Basically what I'm going to do is the main thing I'm going to do is to mount them onto these little wooden blocks. I've also got these cradle boards, which are basically like wooden canvases. So I'll show you how I select what section I'm going to put onto one of these. So to do that, what I normally use is a viewfinder. So depending on what size I'm looking for, it's just basically a piece of card which I've cut the right shape out of the middle of, and I just place it in different places on my papers so that I can select what bits I like the best. And then I'll cut those out and then I'll mount them onto the boards. So I'll show you how I get on with that. Now I've selected the areas that I want to use on my boards, I'm going to just cut them out. I usually allow a little bit extra around the square that I've drawn, just in case. I just don't want it to not be quite big enough. So just to allow it a bit extra that I can trim off at the end. Okay, so I've got my little mini squares now. So there is obviously quite a lot of excess that I left, all the edges that I didn't cut off. So I'll show you something later on that I would do with these little offcuts that I've got. So nothing goes to waste. But these are the ones that I've cut out. So basically what I'm going to do now is stick them onto my boards. I use PVA usually, or craft glue, but you could use gel medium or some other kind of adhesive, whatever you find works best for you. So yeah, that's the next stage. So I finished sticking down all my papers onto the boards, and I've trimmed them so they're all nice and neat. So the next stage is what to do with these next. So sometimes, to be honest, as they are actually quite pretty as they are. So sometimes I leave them as they are, and you could just varnish them or put resin on top of them. But sometimes I actually do patterns and things on top. So let me show you some examples of some things I've done. So these are some of the things I've done with mine. So I tend to use handmade stencils for some of this, and some of this is hand drawn. So you can see, and I've also used resin over the top to make them kind of give them a shiny feeling at the end. And then sometimes I use like lino prints that I've done. So I lino print onto tissue paper, and then I will like stick that down onto the board. So they're just a few examples of things I've done. So I'm going to show you one that I'm going to make now, so that you can see. Okay, so this one is now finished. You can see that I've just painted on it with some acrylic paint, and then I've used a white gel pen to do like the detail and the foliage and stuff. I might paint the sides purple as well to match, but that one is basically done. Or I could varnish it, or I could cover it in resin as well. So if I show you some other ones that I've done, so these ones I've actually framed. So I covered them in resin and then I've mounted them and framed them. And then there's this one as well with another bird on it. So it just gives you some ideas of how you can then turn your pieces into artwork. Also, I sometimes do things in my sketchbook with some of the things that I've cut out. So these are more collaged pieces that I've then gel printed on, and then I've put them into my sketchbook and I've painted and drawn over the top of them. Again, another one there, and this one's just a collage of lots of different bits and pieces. So there's lots of different ways you can use them. And then for the offcuts, so where I've got loads and loads of bits and pieces that were down the sides of what, you know, the bits and pieces that were left behind from the bits I cut out, I've actually made some bookmarks. So these are made of wood as well, and I literally just cut out the pieces and then draw and paint on top of them. So it's just a nice way of using off the last little bits, just with foliage and all sorts of different patterns and shapes. And I use the same in terms of finding which bits to use. Again, I use this, and I've got the shape of the bookmark here, so you can just move it into different places, whatever bit you think would look best as a bookmark, through the viewfinder. So I hope that's given you some ideas today on what you can do with the prints that you've made hopefully from the first session. And I hope you have fun. And if you've enjoyed today's video, please like, subscribe and comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks, bye.